Hi, Dr. Eberman. This is my brainstorming little handwritten chart here. It looks a little crazy, but I'm going to go through it and explain it. My first thing I'm going to touch on is my stakeholder education ideas. I'm not sure if this is even a good idea or if it gets anywhere, but I wanted to take what I thought were the biggest things that hinder me as a GA coming in. ISU's DAT is known as like the forefront of athletic training, right? It's supposed to be, we're supposed to be above and beyond. And I feel that to do so, we need to be not just in our clinical skills, but in how we process and do things on a daily basis. And with that said, I looked at the biggest problems coming in as my new GA. And I thought I had all of this down when I first came in because we had that preceptor meeting and we had policies and procedures meetings. But I feel like as I've done one semester that there's a lot of miscommunication. I think the three is going to be one, communication. As you can see, I've got a lot of chicken scratch going on, but communication here is going to be my first. And going into procedures, like how do I do that? I know we had a policies and procedures meetings, but I have to think about why I didn't learn it. Why am I still having an issue in determining how to schedule an MRI or what doctor to talk to or how to do an x-ray and then how to refer or how to fax? And I wondered, why didn't I learn that? And I think what it comes down to, it was an 8-hour orientation given by supervisors, which is great. However, I feel that that was way too long, and I feel that it wasn't very personal. It was all ahead of time, but it wasn't given by people that learned it the year before. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I was thinking, what if we gave it by students? What if the supervisors were present, and what if me, McCall, and Riley sat down with the 10 new GAs and said, this is how we do stuff. And if you have questions, come to us. But I want you to this is our way to be autonomous. This is how to start this. And so what if we were able to split it up? What if we did 3 sessions or 4 sessions that were shorter and that focused on a specific thing? What if that made greater retention in going into a GA? And then so let's go back to communication. I looked at when do I go to my supervisor and when do I go to do a GA? Because half the time when I go to a GA, my supervisor gets upset because I didn't get the right information or I didn't come to her. And other times when I go to my supervisor, it's an easy fix that I should have just asked a colleague. So I never know when I should go to my supervisor and when I should go to my fellow GA. Also, texting, calling, emailing docs. Every single supervisor has a different method. But is that method going to be compliant? Is that method going to be okay for GAs? So I feel like it's one thing for Shelly to text a doc or, Cody to call the doctor's phone directly, but as a GA, there are no expectations for how we're supposed to do this. I looked at conflicting information. When I go to one supervisor or go to one GA, then it just seems like policies and procedures are everywhere. And I know that's something that this year we're trying to fix as an entire program. They're making a little bit more solid policies and procedures, but I think that is a big thing we're missing. And finally, looked at the slow transition. I didn't realize that, and after I talked with Shelly throughout the semester, that she seems to always mention that it takes about a year to get a hang of things. And it takes about a year for clinicians to really see themselves as clinicians, or a year to really feel confident in their procedures. And I think that's way too long. I think about my year, right? I want to be a competent clinician. This whole semester, yes, I've learned a ton, but I feel that I could have learned so much more. You gotta think that's a whole season, an entire team, and a plethora of athletes. And you add all the classes and being in a new place and knowing no one, and you mix it all together and you're trying to get a grasp on things, no wonder it takes an entire year. So my main question kind of surfaced into, how do we speed up the process? How do we make a smoother transition? Because I feel that is lacking. We are supposed to be DAT students who are doctorate level clinicians who, yes, continue to learn clinical skills and academic skills each and every day. But when it comes to the process and procedures and the policies that occur on an everyday basis, I feel that we are no better than undergraduate students. And I feel that has to change because I think we're all floundering, trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. And by the time we learn it, you're a whole year behind. and now you have only 1 year to make improvements. And I'd rather not have these new GAs come in and just keep that trend. So I know that this idea stems a lot to the next year, but as a stakeholder education meeting, it's something that I want to bring to my stakeholders, bring to Shelly, bring to Cody, and say, here's what I want to do. Here's how I think this is going to help the transition. Because as someone who just went through it and having 10 new GAs next year, I think something has to change. So I don't know. These are some of my brainstorms I've got going on. I think an advice column for new GAs. I think, or a question and answer session. Something where maybe in week 2 or 3 you come in and you're like, I just learned how to x-ray, let me tell you how to do it. Or someone writes it down in a group chat or a group forum. Like my stats professor does a wiki, or we have a question and answer on a tab on Blackboard, but it's a way for students to go, okay, I don't know how to make an x-ray or how to know how to get an x-ray. Have you guys had any success? What does SMERIC like? Or how do I take an athlete to Indy? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I drive? Do I fill up with gas? Like, these are all things that are addressed in the policies and procedures meeting, but I feel that by the time that you get to do them, especially if you're not in season the first semester, it's going to make it really, really challenging. So maybe anonymous or not online forum, a meet and greet, maybe making connections with GAs before the first day. That way like the 10 people who come in know me, McCall, and Riley. They know that they can come to us. They know that Riley is more experienced in this and McCall has more experience in that. And then I've had a lot of athletes who did this. And it's something that they can come to us and not feel like they're stupid or they feel like they're new. And I know that was an issue with me coming in, and I like to eliminate that. I don't know if no supervisors or not is a way to do it. I think having a connection with your supervisor is absolutely important, but I feel that a connection with your GA, a fellow GA, makes you feel like you're not alone in all the craziness that's going on. And when it comes to classes and everything else to come into it, I think that that's a big thing that we can improve on. And I think a big thing to say is, like, we have a lot of new GAs coming in for off campus. And I think that my second year, or our second years or third years now, offline or off campus have all been doing a really, really great job at getting together. But I feel that our current, in my class, off-campus GAs are trying really, really hard to meet up, but that it's just not happening. And I think that's something that we need to definitely encourage, is getting together with our colleagues and making that connection. Because like we had in our staff meeting yesterday, everyone's answers were, it's the people here that drive me. It's the people here that make me want to do what I want to do. It's my athletes, it's my patients, it's my colleagues, it's my supervisors. And the interaction with people is going to make the make or break. I mean, that is the whole reason I'm here, is that I felt an instant connection with the people that I interviewed with, the people that I saw when I came and visited. And I think that is a major thing that we need to improve on when people come in. And then last, they looked at 3 separate shorter sessions for maybe the orientation. Maybe do that separately than DAT weekend. Or I don't know if it was done during DAT weekend over the summer. I can't remember. Maybe doing a day of referral and docs, figuring out that whole process. Having them take notes, having them ask questions, getting that down. Maybe then supervisors versus colleagues, what their roles are, when to ask, who to go to, how to go to them, when is a good time and when is not, questions to ask. And finally, everyday routines, which I think has changed a lot since when the second and third years were all here. And then when we came in, obviously the new hour restrictions come in and everything has changed. And I feel like we definitely need to improve on getting these new GAs as a second cohort of all the hours restrictions, being able to look at their everyday routine, balancing their hours, and etc. So I don't know if I even have any solid or great ideas for my supervised stakeholder education plan. But this is what I want. And I think that when I look at the processes I use, I took a breakdown. And as you can see, a lot of flowing, a lot of breakdown going into the final question. I used forced conflict. I thought about the conflicts that I've had this past semester and conflicts I'm going into. And I looked at how can we eliminate that? Then I looked at remembrance, which was, oh, you know what? I totally forgot the definition for that. And I wrote it down, but talk streaming is talking through your problems, and visioning is looking at a final goal and how you want to get there, getting motivated for that future. and a future goal. And I think that's really, really cool. And I think that's all the things I've used here. Um, and a lot of them fit my personality. So I'm really, really excited about everything that this has a potential of becoming. And I'm really hoping that I can find something. And I think the side comment is something to be is how to bridge the gap between GA and clinician. Because as I came in my interview, you told me that, we don't look at our GAs as GAs. We look at them as clinicians who are happen to be a student as well. And I think that's definitely something that we need to more advocate, because right now I don't feel like my own clinician. And I think it's just because that slow transition. I think by the time the new people come in, I'll feel like a clinician. But right now, I'm so lost and I'm still trying to bridge that gap. So I think that's something that we definitely need to speed up, because we have high standards for our students. And we have high standards, and we want to be able to leave this place going, I wasn't really a GA. I was a GA, I was a student, but I was completely autonomous. Or, I did everything my supervisor did. I had a supervisor, but like as the years went by, I realized I kind of knew what I was doing. And those are good things to have, and those are good things I want to leave people with. And then when it came to my patient education, I really wanted to focus on communication. Obviously, I've had a lot of issues with being a preceptor and communicating with people, and I think that's one of the things I touched on, like supervisors versus GAs, text, call, email, docs, all this conflicting information. And I think that having a forum, like having a meeting outside of a preceptor development, although the preceptor development was very, very good, I think that having a meeting of all the things I'm going to learn in this emotional intelligence book and all the things I'm going to learn this semester as being a preceptor, I think making a lesson plan to educate Riley and McCall on how to help new GAs, or making a plan that won't be implemented, making a plan to educate the people of next year. I don't know if that even counts as this semester, but I feel like that needs to be a change regardless of the grade. And I know that a lot of students coming in, a lot of GAs, aren't going to have been a preceptor. And if they are, then they're going to have that, but it's going to be totally different here because we want to give our students freedom. And now that I have expectations of the undergraduate program from Dr. Armstrong and Dr. Gavin, I feel that my change of how I'm a preceptor is totally altered. So I think that's something that we should have a communication. We should increase our communication, and that is going to be what I really, really want. And that comes into visioning as well. That uses looking at the broader scope, looking at people having successful preceptorships, having successful undergraduate students, because they were able to talk to them, they were able to handle conflict, they were able to do these things, and they were able to separate what they went through and who they are. And I think that's one thing, again, that I suffered with. And I know that a lot of GAs coming in have had amazing preceptors, and I guarantee you a lot of them have had really, really bad preceptors. And they're still trying to figure out who they want to be. So my idea is going to be totally going to be right into visioning. And it's going to be looking at what I want our new GAs to look like, and educating McCall and Riley, and looking at how to be a preceptor. And even the off-campus GAs, I should not have included them, including Brian, including those who were coming in, Matt, and having this discussion on how to be a preceptor, but also how to be a new clinician, and bridging the gap between the two. So I think those are my two ideas. My brainstorming was kind of all over the place, and this video is only almost 15 minutes long. But I'm very excited. I hope that this has potential, because I think that these things are definitely things that need to be improved in order to facilitate our new students coming in, and facilitate our new GAs, and to also advocate for the profession and advocate for the DAT, that we are those that are set at a higher standard. As we leave here, we are set aside. We are set apart. We are new, we are different, and I want to advocate for that. Okay. Well, thank you, Dr. Eberman. I hope, like I said, I'm sure I'll learn a lot from the Collaborate tomorrow, but I'm really excited about the possibility of using these two ideas. So